Hello and welcome to the start of this Brands Hatch Group 3 race, 14 laps, one of the dailies, and it just so happens to be the race that I hit rank S. Got the game quite late, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks on it now, just about starting to get a feel for the setup that I've got and the game. But yeah, let's see how we go. So we're starting from 5th, we've got Brazersby up there in the front, but someone's got very wide through paddock already. Back across the track, you never want to see that. And then we're very slow into Druids. That's always the way at the start of the race. Everyone's got pace in hand, but you just can't use it as a car in front. So I was feeling confident in this race because the race prior I had a very good race. Bo Kamomo was in the race, I beat him, it was a really mistake. He's off in the top 10, he's very good. V Christian on P1, he's off in the top 10. So I didn't feel as though I could challenge him. But the race that I forgot to save before this one, I did beat Smoke 808 who's in P2 there. So I felt like I had pace for second if I could just get past Brazersby in front, but Brands is a very tricky track to overtake. It's a very narrow racing line. You want to be using the full width of the track, but on the outsides and corner entry there's grass. And you'll see a few cars make some mistakes. I think the Porsche is the car of choice for this race, but I just started taking the M6 and look at this, 40 would be behind, giving me a lot of pressure there, which at the time I was a bit frustrated with because I felt like I had the pace to get past Bradders, but we were both compromising our lines, but that's just the way it is, and I think in the end UAB had a lot of pace, so I probably was holding him up, but I didn't want to defend too hard, but I didn't want to lose the position because I wanted a shot at getting past Bradders myself, you see. So I was getting a bit frustrated because he kept putting his nose up the inside or putting his car on the outside. He was compromising my line, so I couldn't really have a shot at Bradders. And I felt like I just needed to be there, pressuring him. A gap would present itself. We'll see. So here we go. Where are we now? It's into 30s. Tricky corner 30s because you want to be wide on the initial entrance, but you need to get back for that inner curb because there's a little dip in the track. Just put the car into that inner curb. Get on the throttle nice and early, really fly the car out, down through Pilgrim's Drop and up towards Hawthorne. That's right hand of them just going through. We're approaching Westfield now. Take an early entrance and take that curve so you can power the car through. That's the trick with Brands, especially with that blind corner there, Sheen curve, one of my favourite tracks in the it's going to be busy. So I'm not sure there if I was trying to have a little look at Bradders or just defend from UAB. I think it was more of a defence. Look at lost about 4 or 5 car lengths there with that, just with compromised driving line on the entrance. Down Bradford Straight, the approach to paddock. Great track, Brands. If you ever get the chance to go, do go. Whatever event they're hosting, whether it's Saks Max or some trucks or something, or BTCC, you'll have a great time. Here we go, Bradford Straight. On the approach to paddock. I braked a bit early here because I'm not sure what Bradders was doing, but got a little tap from UAB there. It's not UAB's fault. I think you can hear he's fully locked. He can't brake anymore. He's just giving me a little bump, but that's fine. I don't really meant to. And he's let me take the line from Druids as well. And if you are having to defend out of paddock on the approach to Druids, I think the outside is probably the place to be. I wouldn't want to. I don't know. Because it's if you defend the inside, it's quite easy for them to get a good run around the outside, although you can run them wide on the exit, I suppose, but if they do manage to sneak around the outside, they've got the inside of the Graham. So defend Druids by all means, but don't be too tight and don't let them run it around the outside. It will be compromised and they will have track position very well. Oh, is that Hawthorns or is that Westfield? Yeah, through Hawthorns. Yeah, Sterling's. The approach to clear is here, we're back with it. Okay, so we're still in 4th, still got pressure from UAB behind, we're still not really pressuring Bradders V, having no idea on the system much of the line. If we get a bit of breathing space from UAB, I think we'll be able to close it back down. So now Bradford Straight, on the approach to paddock. Very important that you get good turning for paddock, make the apex, because if you're wise and start of the corner, it's just going to force you right on the exit. There's no official gravel. Similarly, if you're racing down Bradham Straight, it's very tricky to get much done at paddock. You can send it up the inside because people tend to take a wide approach to the corner, as they should, but you need to control your car speed. You do not want to be it's a tricky corner. That's what makes it so good. That's why Brands is such a good track. I know a lot of people haven't been too keen on it, but I think honestly once you learn the track and you learn not to push the car too hard, just let the car work, especially through Hawthorne. It's a good example of there. See if you stay on board. Pressuring Bradders here. Twitch coming out of Westfield, approach to Sheen, loads of curve. You want to be doing that, lots of curve. It's a blind entrance as well, so you want to be turning before you can see the apex. The key to Brands, because it's such a narrow racing line, is, especially with those fast right-handers, is you do need to get an early turn in. You need to take that curve so that you can then be on the throttle to power the car for the rest of the corner. And if you're not taking the curve, you're not tight on entrance, you're out of track, you don't have enough track to power out, as we just send it up the inside of Bradders and paddock. So, as I was saying, it's not the best place to make a move. We make the move, but we've signalled early. We showed our intent. We had a good run, and in the end, it was an easy move. We just rolled it off the brakes, left him room on the outside. We didn't go in too fast, running wide. Uraby, I thought would have followed through, certainly by Druids, but I think these two are in a bit of a scrap now, which might be my chance to pull away and try and catch up to Smoke from it. So we'll see what happens. Surtees, nice corner. Again, wide on entrance, but you need to come back for that curve so you can power down this straight now through Pilgrim's Drive. Look at these two side by side. So Bradders has the inside for Hawthorns. Don't think Uraby's going to brave enough to try and hang it around the outside of Hawthorns. It's not a good idea. What I like to do there is I'll force the car in front to defend Hawthorns, and then I'll aim for the cut back, because if they're defending, they're going to lose a lot of speed on the exit. You can usually just send it up the inside on the approach to Westfield through Hawthorns. Bradders did well there, he defended well, he's kept the position, and he's actually coming back onto the back of me to pick my pace up here. I'm not catching Smoke, it's not going well. And I may as well address the elephant in the room. Yes, you can see I'm using traction control and counter steer assistance. As I say, I'm still not new to the franchise, but I'm new to the game, and I'm new to the setup as well. I've previously just been using a desk chair and an office desk, and it wasn't the best. And now I've got myself a nice seat and a nice wheel, as we see Bradders lose it on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend there. I think what happened was, I think Uraby had a little look at the inside. Bradders didn't want to turn in on him, left him space on the inside, but unfortunately just carried a bit too much speed, and the car just washed out to the outside. Very easily done through Paddock. Very easily done through Paddock. Where are we? Surtees. We're both taking a bit tight line, they're not quite the optimal line. In the race as well, you can't always be doing qualifying laps in the race. Too much about that. Down through Pilgrim's Drop, great shot. Yeah, if you get the chance, I recommend going to Brands. Whatever event they've got on, you'll have a good time. It's a great track, great venue, great racing, some good spots. Because you've got the natural. It's like an amphitheatre. There's certain place. I'll show you next lap round where one of my favourite spaces spots to stand and watch, because you get to see Bradham Straight, Cooper Straight, Paddock Hill, Surtees, Graham Hill, Druids. It's just it's a great spot. I'll show you. It's on the exit of Druids. Left back. Okay, so anyway, Uraby's pitted early. Now, at the time, I thought he'd made a mistake here. He's obviously going to get the undercut, and what we mean when we say that is that he's going to exit the pits now and do his lap 7 on fresh tyres, whilst I'm doing my lap 7 on slightly worn tyres, which will give Uraby an advantage. But I was thinking that the race would come to me later on. But as it happens, tyres and fuel weren't really an issue in this race, especially for a Porsche. Both. Uraby drove a good race. He didn't make many mistakes, so he didn't lose time that way. And in the end, it turned out to be a good decision for him. We'll see what happens. But now, here, I'm feeling quite confident. My tyre wear's fine, look, fuel's not a problem. The race before this, I went a lap further. I pitted on lap 8, just because usually you wouldn't want to stay out on older tyres if you don't need to. But the first 3, 4, 5 laps of that race, I just caught up in traffic. if you're sensible when you're caught up in traffic, it's a great opportunity just to back off, save your tyres, save your fuel. If you're not sensible, you're there, hustling the car around, trying to get on the back of the guy, force him to make a mistake. You're all over the track, but you're not really going anywhere, and you're using up a lot of tread. So the best approach you can do, if you find yourself in that situation where you're in traffic, is don't necessarily burn off your tyres. Save them for when you can use them in open air later in the race. I'll check this pit stop out. These boys are on their game. Look at that. You ever seen a faster pit stop? Oh, there goes Uribe. That's a shame. Alright, so where are we? 4th place. Uribe's gone through. Undercut work for him. It was a good tactic, especially since he was arguably probably being held up by myself. So, good decision to come in early from Uribe. And because tyres and fuel aren't really an issue in this race, it was a good decision. Sometimes it can be advantageous. If you're not limited on fuel, coming in a lap early is a good idea. But yeah, what was I saying? I was saying something about the use of counter steer assistance, wasn't I? Because I know a lot of people will criticise me for that. But I don't think I wouldn't worry if it gives you confidence in the race and it allows you just to push that extra tenth, especially in a game like this where sportsmanship's important and you don't want to be driving too erratically and having mistakes and causing other drivers to have to try and avoid you, or maybe you're going to hit them because you make a mistake. I think if it gives you the confidence to drive how you want to drive, then use it. If it's available for you to use it. Now I can drive without it, and I can drive without traction control, although driving without traction control in this game is very, very tricky. I don't necessarily, it does slow you down, obviously, at the moment, I'm just not consistent enough to drive without it. It's just a shame. It's the first Gran Turismo I've had where I've found the need to still use traction control. When I first got this game, I wasn't running with ABS, I wasn't running with traction control, and I wasn't running with counter steer assistance, but I was finding that learning the new game with my new setup, with all the aids off, was just too much. I couldn't get a good feel for it. So, about 3 weeks since that now, I've just hit the S rank after this race. So I think what you may see from me in future videos, if you do join me for those, is that I will try to dial back the aids and see if I can keep my pace and just work towards removing certainly counter steer assistance. Traction control I don't necessarily feel the urge to drive without all the time, because especially when you're managing tyre wear and powerful cars, it can be quite useful. But it will cost you time on exit if it's cutting power. Anyway, we've gone on board with Uribe here because the second stint wasn't particularly interesting for me, whereas these two, the two Porsches, have quite a good scrap. And I may as well say this now while they're fighting. I messaged Uribe after the race because we had a good race anyway, so it's always nice to message the driver in the race. But when I was a child, I used to live in a village called Uribe, so I said this to Uribe, and I dropped the name of another local village that I moved to a little bit down the road afterwards, just so he knew that I knew the place. And yeah, it turns out he lives in that same village that I grew up in. And what are the chances of that? So I've added him as a friend, and maybe we'll get some more races with Uribe in the future. He drove well. He was a good driver. I think he was S rank as well. And you know when you're getting close to the top of the ranks. For the last sort of week or so, all my races as an A driver, I was getting matched with like the top S rank guys, Bocomomo, Dayrone, TX, T3X or TX3. Those guys, Mirage, a lot of good French drivers out there. Because I raced a lot in GT5 and GT6, and I have to say some of my best races were always with the French. I used to do a lot of karting on those games, GT6, with some really fast French karters. Italians as well, some fast Italians, had some good races. I'm not one of those people that thinks, there's drivers from a particular nation's always out to get them, because if I'm perfectly honest, the nation I'm most worried about when I see coming up behind me is the Brits. And I'm sorry to say, but that's just the case. If I see a Brit coming up behind me, I think, oh god, here we go again. But thankfully, these guys, Smoke, Uribe, we had a cracking race, and I won't spoil the race, but yeah, we had a good result, the Brits, from this one. So here we go. Through clearaways, Clark Curve, onto Brabham Straight on the approach to paddock. So you want to use the full track through clearaways if you can. Don't go too hot on the approach because there's a slight camber. It's easy to get sucked off towards the outside of the track. If you drop a wheel, that's it. That's the story of Brands. So you want to get a good exit through paddock as well, nice early apex, get the drive out all the way down to Druids. And again, out of Druids towards Graham Hill. The braking zone, it's kind of naturally pulls you towards the right of the track. If you come out of Druids, you want to aim for that right hand curve on the approach to Graham Hill and just sort of brake as you aimed at it. Get the car turned in, balance it on the apex and power out down Cooper Straight. And again, the same with Surtees. Surtees is probably one of the most important corners. You've got this long straight through Pilgrim's Drop on the approach to Hawthorne. Hawthorne as well, if you mess up Hawthorne, you're compromised on the approach to Westfield. Well, it's hard to get past at Westfield, but if you've made a mistake at Hawthorne, someone's probably going to be able to get alongside, and then I wouldn't want to be on the outside at Hawthorne. So here we go, look, UAV's pressuring Smoke, pressuring. Smoke's doing a very good job though, holding on for pressure. And I think Christian Melita's made a mistake there, look, so top 3, and I'd just go for a shot. I think top 5 in about 5 seconds. It's probably 2.5, 3 seconds from the top 3. So do have a race on. And that Christian guy's usually top 10, V Christian 94, regularly seen in the top 10 starts list. But I regularly see this from those guys, the dailies, maybe not so much for the FIA races, but they just don't stop doing qualifying laps in the races, which is fine, but often they make a mistake. The racing's not always about driving 100%, often it's about how close to that 100% can you get without making mistakes. As we see in this race, a lot of them haven't quite got there yet. They're still making mistakes. They're very fast though, don't get me wrong, very, very fast. Little mistake from Smoke there. Oh, he's run wide and drops it on the grass, that was a shame. Yeah, there he is, so he's lost 2 places there. So, B Christian in the lead, took pole as well, very quick lap, very quick driver. He's in the M6 as well. Most people took the Porsche for this race. I think the Porsche is the better choice. Very good on the brakes, very good through these fast right hand. It's the only place I saw people struggling with the Porsche. Sheen curve. There's the exit of Sheen. Blind, I love Sheen curve. Blind entry, blind apex, great corner. Tight exit as well, which is nice, which makes it a challenge. That's why Brands is challenging, because you need to use the full width of the track. And here's a good example. Look how close you get to it on that side there. Through Clark. You need to use the full width. I'm not going to push here, just to check his lap times a bit. So I've done a few 124.420s. Seems like the lap time 124.420 for some reason. I think the last race I did 2 as well, so it seems to be about my pace in the M6 in the race at Brands. I think the 123 would be doable, certainly in the Porsche. But remember, I've only just got to the S rank as well, and I'm only 3 weeks into it. I'm still learning. I've still very recently adjusted the steering settings. I had my steering, not the controller sensitivity, but the steering sensitivity setting. I had that set far too low. Bumped it up to maybe a 5 or a 6 or something like that. It might have been 6. It made so much difference. Not so much in the Group 1 cars, where we've got quite good steering sensitivity anyway, just by the fact that they've got such good downforce. But certainly for the slower cars, your Group 4s, there was that Daily recently in that WRX road car, wasn't there? Cars like that, the 4-wheel drive cars, really need to have a sensitive steering in a game like this. Because people with the pad, remember, they can go from full lock to full lock in about a 10th of a second, you know, it's how long it takes their thumb to move the analog stick. Whereas if you do that in a wheel, you're never going full lock to full lock. You may be going 80, 90 degrees or something like that. You're never going to full lock. So when you've got a car like that that responds well to aggressive steering input in comparison to a Group 1 car, for example, it's very beneficial to increase your steering sensitivity. And likewise, I often decrease my steering sensitivity from driving a Group 1 car. And here we go, Christian's made that mistake, look, on the outside of the track on lap 1. Last lap, final lap. Just pushing too hard. And here will be the win. Let's see if we can get back on board with him. This is me. Here we go. Alright, so into Druids. He's a bit shaky in Druids as well. Look at this. Doesn't seem comfortable. And I think to try and sort of... I think it's just gone. He's trying to make up for that little mistake at Druids, and he's put wheels, both front and rear wheel on the outside on the entrance to Graham Hill, which you don't want to do. There's no curb there. It's just sort of worn curb and grass. we didn't want to be aiming for that curb. Maybe putting our wheels in. There we go. So Christian's gone. Where is he? He's down to 6, isn't he? Damn. Boca Momo did the same thing in the previous race. Put it on pole, miles faster than anybody else. He lost it at Sheen. Second stint, same thing. Lost it at Sheen, dropped a wheel. He finished like 8th or something. These guys should be winning almost every race. It might be glitches to daily, not too bad. I'm not going to catch UAB. I was a bit disappointed. I thought maybe the race would come to me with him pitting earlier, but just didn't have the pace. And also, I was very aware that I was going to hit S rank this race, so I was quite happy just to take the podium. Smoke's catching me here, but I'm just backing off, taking it easy. There's no use spinning it like Christian did. Good win for UAB. I'm happy to take the second. I think Smoke was unlucky not to take second, but him and UAB had a good race. And there we go. I hope you enjoyed our little discussion. I'm really hoping to save some more replays for you guys, and we can talk more about racecraft and all the rest of it later. See you in the next one.